Hello, people. How's it going out there? I am live, obviously. If you're seeing this, you already knew that. Or you're watching it in the future. But happy 2019. This is the first Creature Science Illustrated video of any kind in 2019. So, yeah. Happy 2019. Always like to wait just a minute or so just to let people figure out this is happening. I'm not putting a link anywhere or anything, I don't think so. If you're out there and you're watching, let me know with a chat. I will try and keep up as best I can as we go through these fun little doodles tonight. If you are out there watching and you are part of Lalita Loca, which I think most people that watch this are, we can talk a little bit about that April group cruise because we've had some things going on with the April group cruise. Let's write that down here. April group cruise. Super excited about it. Of course, Sandy and I have a cruise coming up before that, but and we're excited about that too. Don't get me wrong, we're super excited about that, but we are even more excited about the April group cruise because it's going to be epic, amazing. All right, so I'll go ahead and start doodling something. I think the first thing that I'm going to draw tonight is going to be the cruise creature from this last week, which is the Bermuda chub. So we'll start off with kind of a, moderately interesting cruise creature design, I guess you could say. Let me just clear this here. And by moderately interesting, I just mean that it's kind of a bland looking fish, really, just kind of a plain looking fish, sort of this oval shape here. Kind of a gray color for the most part, but the reason, if you don't listen to the Cruise Geeks, the reason I chose this as the cruise creature this last week is because I've been watching a lot of cruise vlogs, which is one of the things I enjoy doing, and a lot of times I see cruise vlogs, and they have some snorkeling footage, and a lot of times that snorkeling footage has people up towards the surface snorkeling. I think that's where most people snorkel, just not me. But yeah, there are a few species of fish that are really commonly seen in those videos, and that I commonly see too up near the surface when I'm snorkeling. And this is one of those common species, is the chub, the Bermuda chub, the yellow chub. Very similar species, so similar that they're nearly impossible to tell apart. But I wanted to represent one here. See if you've seen one of these fish. I don't even know if anybody's actually out there yet. So if you are, like I said, let me know. I may or may not be able to see your post. Hopefully I can. So, of course, a lot of fish have basic fish things that is pretty common with most fish. And that is a certain number of fins. And, of course, they have gills.
Michael Perry's out there.
Oh, hey, Michael Perry. Oh, Michael Perry. How appropriate that you are out there, because guess what? You were asking me about hotels for the group cruise. Well, I think we are going to stay at the Days Inn. The one that you were talking about over there. We're still looking. We're not 100% sure on it.
That looks like it's the best deal.
Yeah, but it's looking like the option for us. So, yeah, that's what we're leaning towards right now. They have a park and cruise deal. It'd be a little cheaper to drive to the port, but not worth the stress, in my opinion. I hate driving to the port. Now, all right, so this fish has a fairly large eye, and it doesn't. Now that I zoomed in on my reference picture, I see that it doesn't really have that part, but more of a regular pupil, actually. So their mouth is interesting, though. It kind of comes down kind of flat. These are the little details. If you're drawing like a fish or something, you want to try and get to really sell what type of animal you're drawing. So yeah, Bermuda chub, though, pretty common to see these guys. They like the food. Apparently they are a problem in Grand Cayman, attacking people and such. So beware. I talked about in the podcast how maybe not a good idea to feed the fish in the wild. Usually it's a bad idea to feed wildlife, but sometimes it's not always obvious why that's a bad idea. This may be why. All right, so this is just a rough outline. I'm going to go ahead and kind of ink it. I might kind of cartoonize this guy a little bit, as I like to do. I don't want that one. I want this one.
Dave and Brandy are out there.
Dave and Brandy are out there. Oh, hey, Dave and Brandy. How are you guys doing? Whoa, that's really, really thick. Okay, there we go. That's really, really thin. Come on, I need the Goldilocks ink pen here. Now this, just so you know, I draw on the... Wow, I can talk tonight. I draw on a software application called Procreate on the iPad, and I have the Apple Pencil, so I can draw and put a little bit of pressure, press a little harder, and make it thicker, but I still have this like switch over here that lets me control like the overall size. So that's why I was just doing that. This guy's got kind of a little eye lid going on here. Color that in. So we're getting pretty excited because we have like 20 days left before our next cruise, which is on the Carnival Paradise. I think Brandy's familiar with that one. And then we're going to Cozumel, Mexico, and Grand Cayman on that. And then we have the group cruise in April, the Lolita Loca / Cruise Geeks group cruise. Right up there ahead. There we go. Give this guy some little... This fin on the side is called the pectoral fin. Think of like the pectoral muscles. It's basically what you've got here.
Brandy and Dave got the crud.
Oh no, I knew Brandy wasn't feeling good. You gave it to Dave, Brandy? Come on. Hope you guys start feeling better. That is no fun to have the crud. For sure. I am hoping that I can avoid getting the crud, but with the kids being off the last couple days, I've been doing a lot of stuff with kids, a lot of camps, and it's so common for me to get sick after doing camps. It's horrible. They're dirty. They're filthy, those children. And they're blowing their nose. Oh, they're disgusting. But so far, I seem to have avoided it. So hopefully that'll maintain that way. We'll see what happens. Sandy was having some sinus issues recently. That's no fun either. As long as she's healthy by the cruise, then we're good. As long as I don't get sick for the cruise.
Michael is leaving on the 19th on the Vista.
19th on the Vista, Michael. That's awesome. That's right before us. Yeah, the reason we're not as excited, I mean, like I said, we're excited about the cruise coming up, obviously. It's a cruise, but the reason we're a little less excited is because it's only a 5-day cruise. So, you know.
Speak for yourself. I'm excited.
Well, I'm excited, but I'm just not as excited because I know it's only 5 days, but it's still going to be awesome. You know, I'm not saying I don't want those 5 days. This guy's some... Now, I don't know if you guys have seen these fish when you've been out snorkeling, but like I said, they're usually near the surface, and and they usually will come right up to you to get food. Let me get rid of this, and I'll add a little color to our fishy friend here. They're kind of gray. Let's see if I can do this quicker. So I got some other things I want to draw too, so I don't want to... That's the weird thing, like, I always draw these, and a lot of times I'm, like, not loving my drawings because I'm always rushing through them on here. Sometimes they come out pretty good, but, yeah, I have some other things I want to draw tonight, so I don't want to spend all my time on the Bermuda chub. So they're kind of gray. They're a little bit darker up near the top, maybe a little darker than that. Up near the top, they get a little darker, a little bit of what's called counter shading. And they have, if you look closely, they've got these little scales that go back, and they kind of make these sort of rows that go through here. Make this guy darker. A little darker on the fins here. Going with a smaller brush. A little bit darker color. So how's everybody doing tonight? Other than Dave and Brandy, who are not doing well, apparently. We have anybody else on there, Sandy, that you can see?
Sorry, I'm trying to look at this hotel stuff. Joe just showed up.
Hey, Joe. What's going on? So we are, I don't know if I don't think we have anybody out there except, well, just Michael Cruise Lover is the only one that's, I think, on that April cruise that's on there right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we won't talk about it too much then. Although I wish everybody that's on here that I know of it would be on that cruise, because that'd be awesome. Now these guys have a little bit of yellow here and there on them. Although it's not always super apparent when you see them, but it's a little darker than that. There's usually a little yellow on their pectoral fin. And then sometimes if you look really closely, you might see, that's too thin, you might see these sort of yellow lines going this way. Although those don't always show up on these guys. Sometimes you can't really see those very well. And then sometimes they will have these spots on them, kind of splotches, or big spots, especially the younger ones. So, I don't know, have any of you guys seen fish that look like this when you're snorkeling adventures? Have you seen a fish that looks like that? They're pretty big. They are, they can get pretty big. They can get like a couple feet. So they are one of the larger fish out there. But that's the Bermuda chub right there. A very quick rendition of the Bermuda chub. All right, I'm going to turn these off, start a new layer here, go back to my pencil. Switch back to, I like to do my initial lines in like a different color. That way it's easier to see what I'm doing when I go over them after that. All right, I'm going to do a dolphin. Now, I don't think I've ever drawn a dolphin on here. Dolphins are really cool, but I don't draw them that often. So they're a little bit tricky to draw. I'm looking at a kind of a weird picture of a dolphin. It is a photograph I'm looking as a reference, but it's just a weird perspective. But I kind of like it because I want to make this a little cartoony as well. So if I looked at just an average side view of a dolphin, I felt like I would just draw a really boring side view of a dolphin. I didn't want to do that. So this is what we're getting. And of course, dolphins are mammals, not fish. And they have this tail that that is facing a different way than our fishy friends. It's one of the big differences. They also, of course, they don't have gills. They have lungs. Got to come up to breathe. I don't see any chat coming through my app today, so I apologize if you are out there asking questions and stuff, because I usually see them at least pop up.
Are you on Facebook as well?
I'm on Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah, you got all kinds of people on Facebook.
Ah!
You got Bristol Woods, Kimbra.
Bristol,
Stanley
Kimbra's
Hicks.
on there. Who is?
Jenny. Bristol, Kimbra, Stanley Hicks.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, so welcome, or I guess I should welcome myself because I didn't know everybody was there. Yeah, just kind of doodling tonight. This is my cartoony dolphin here. Any questions out there?
Are you asking me?
I'm asking you, yeah.
No.
No questions. All right, that's all right. At least I haven't been ignoring anybody that way. All right, so this yeah, like I said, this is kind of a weird perspective of this dolphin because it's going back in space here a little bit. And they got little, whoa, that's really big teeth. That's like what the really scary dolphins look like. Even that's kind of big. They do have cone-shaped teeth, though. They're not quite that big, but yeah, they got a little bit of size to them. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make this a little lighter. I'm going to go to a new layer, go to my ink brush, see if we can ink this dolphin, and I'm going to turn my canvas because of the position I'm in. It's hard for me to get a lot of different angles, and
Michael Cruise Lover has to run. He said thanks. Joe has a question. What kind of cruise creatures can we expect to hopefully run into in Cuba?
Oh, okay. Well, bye, Michael Cruise Lover. Thank you for stopping by. Cuba's tricky, Joe. There are a lot of really cool animals that live in Cuba. The problem is, because of the way the excursions work there right now, you don't have a lot of opportunity to see a lot of creatures. From what I understand, you're mostly like in kind of more urban settings, and so there's not a lot of wildlife going on there. You might see some various wading birds, probably pretty similar to what you would see in Florida, just various types of herons and egrets and stuff. Let me do those teeth like this. Whoa, that's really huge. Now, I'm hoping that eventually that changes, because I know a couple things about Cuba. One, they have some of the most pristine coral reefs in the Caribbean. The aquarium where I work we've had people from Cuba here. We've sent our divers down there to do research back and forth because our coral reefs in Florida are not in nearly as good a shape as the ones in Cuba. And we want to know why, so that we can bring ours back, and also so that we can keep theirs from getting messed up. This is kind of a derpy looking dolphin. And so they have that. Then they have the Cuban rock iguana, which is a really cool iguana that is found in Cuba almost exclusively. And those are pretty rare as well. I don't know how common they are in Cuba. Part of the problem with Cuba is that it's so isolated that a lot of the animals that live there are rare just because there's just not a lot of space. So there can't be that many of them. Including one of my favorite animals on the planet lives in Cuba, and that is the Cuban crocodile, which is only found in a small part of Cuba, so not even all of Cuba, mostly in an area called Zapata Swamp. and you can't go there, to my knowledge, on any excursion, or I'd be there tomorrow. But they're super cool little crocodiles with a reputation for jumping really high, and beautiful crocodiles, just really gorgeous crocodiles. So right now you're not going to see a lot, but maybe in the future there'll be more opportunities to see cruise creatures. Now, of course, you could see, various things in port like you would at most ports. Things like frigate birds and stuff like that. If I'm wrong about that, if somebody's been to Cuba and they've seen a bunch of wildlife, please let me know, because I would be very, very interested in that.
Anything to look for in Key West for Joe?
So Key West is another place that is very built up. You will probably see some really pretty birds there, the same types that you'll see around here in Florida. You'll see some small anoles and other lizards down there. Now, in Key West, there are opportunities to do excursions that might be more along the lines of snorkeling or scuba diving, that kind of thing. And if you do stuff like that, you're going to see a lot of cool stuff. But basically, it's going to be the same. The animals, the fish and stuff that I see in Key West are primarily the same type of things that I see throughout most of the Caribbean. So there are some things you'll see more in certain areas and stuff like that, but there's a lot of stuff that you see pretty consistently throughout. So like the Bermuda chub that I drew, you could see there, as well as a lot of other fairly common fish, but cool fish and beautiful fish. Now, if you're staying in Key West, you can see some cool stuff like if you go to I can't think of his name. Man, what's the author with Hemingway? If you go to the Hemingway house, you can see the polydactyl six-toed cats, which isn't really a cruise creature. Well, I mean, why couldn't it be a cruise creature? It's pretty cool to see. I mean, I'm a cat person, so it's cool for me to see. But yeah, you can see that. But Key West is probably more about the cultural experience as well. Both those places are probably a little more about the cultural experience than the wildlife. If you want to see wildlife in the Keys, there's probably better places to see it. One exception, and I don't know that any cruise excursions go there, would be the Dry Tortugas, which is a little bit west of Key West. You'd have to take a boat over there or something. But it's a pretty nice reef system that hasn't been too messed up yet. All right, there's our little derpy dolphin. Let's do this. Let's just merge this down. We'll turn our fish back on here too. Merge him down. I got a little weird schmutz over there. There we go. Move our dolphin out of the way. Whoa, that was not what I wanted to do. He got really stretched out. That was dolphin yoga. That's what that was. Let's see what else we got in store here. All right, let's do a stingray. That was the first cruise creature I did on the Cruise Geeks. And a lot of people see stingrays. You could see those at the beach in Key West. And if you went to a beach in Cuba, I'm sure they're there as well. But of course, they're popular to see in places like Grand Cayman. A lot of places have stingray encounters now, where they have stingrays that are either kept in sort of a pen, or they are just literally wild stingrays that just know where the food's coming. And so they hang out in certain areas and allow people to have these really interesting encounters with them. So there are different species of stingray, though, that you could run into. The ones that people usually are looking at in the Caribbean are southern stingrays, and that's what I'm drawing here. Now, they're also in Florida. This type of stingray is in Florida. These are the big ones. They look like big portobello mushrooms. The other stingray species that I see a lot of times in the Caribbean are yellow stingrays, which I also see in the Florida Keys when I've been scuba diving there. Yellow stingrays are not nearly as big as the southern stingrays, but they are really pretty stingrays. I made that line way too big there. There we go. Now, when you're drawing something like a stingray, the challenge is that there's not a lot of lines to go by without making it look kind of weird. So the best thing to do is to get a lot of shading in, kind of like what I did with the dolphin and stuff. So we're going to go ahead and fade this out, and we'll come on here, get the old ink brush. I also made this stingray's eyes way too big.
Joe and Emily's Maine Coon was polydactyl.
Oh, really? That's so cool.
They may not know what I just said.
So, I'm sorry. I don't know if you can hear Sandy, but she said that, I guess, Joe, you had a polydactyl cat. Is that true? Is that the truth? That's pretty cool. If you're not sure what a polydactyl cat is, that's a cat with 6 toes, which the Hemingway house is famous for. They have lots of those polydactyl cats.
All right, we're booked for the Days Inn.
All right. Well, Michael Cruise Lover's not on there anymore. Sandy just booked us for our hotel for our April cruise. We're all set. Of course, we don't have to get a hotel for our next cruise because that's going out of Tampa. So that would be kind of silly to do that. Now, here's another misconception with stingrays. A lot of people think their stinger is on the tip of the tail. No. I mean, not in most species. Most species, it's where it is on the southern stingray, which is right about here. And a lot of times, stingrays will break off. These barbs will break off. They'll grow them back. Sometimes they'll even have a couple. But like the yellow stingray stinger is down here. So they're not always in the same spot, but they're usually pretty close to the base of the tail. All right, we're going to delete this layer and add a color layer. Go back to our little airbrush. Now, southern stingrays are kind of a brown color, but they are dark on the top and light underneath, which is called counter shading. You guys probably heard me talk about this before. A lot of animals have this, dark on the top, light underneath, which helps them to camouflage whether you're above them or below them. So if you're above the stingray, they blend in with the sand. If you're below the stingray, if the stingray is swimming off the bottom, then the light shining through the water helps them to blend in. I'm doing really sloppy coloring here. Just want to get some color down on this guy or girl. Looks like a girl, because if this was a guy, there'd be little claspers. 2 little appendages called claspers there. Now the underneath side is almost white.
Joe says it is. He also had opposable thumbs like people.
Nice!
I
Opposable
miss him.
thumbs on that kitty.
If he could have reached doors, I'm convinced he would have opened them.
That's awesome. When did you guys have that polydactyl cat? Was it a while ago? That's pretty cool.
I want a polydactyl cat.
I want a polydactyl cat too. Sandy and I have 3 cats, although you wouldn't know that because one of them doesn't give us the time of day, and another one only gives Sandy the time of day occasionally. But then we have a kitten who is much more loving sometimes. when she wants to be. She's not terrified of us. That's the important thing. All right, looks like we got about 15 more minutes to wrap this up. There is our southern stingray right there. So we've got our dolphin, our Bermuda chub, and our southern stingray right there. And I want to do at least one more. I think I have time for one more. I'm going to, let's see, we're going to merge these two layers. Move this guy down here. Start a new layer. This is pretty much the technique I would use when I was doing a more involved piece of art too. This is how I'd start it. I would go in and do like rough sketches and then go over it in layers and just keep building on it. It's the same process I use for traditional art. It just makes it a little faster and easier. So this last one I'm going to do is a flamingo. Now, Joe, one of the places that you can actually see flamingos in Florida, although it's extremely rare, is in the Florida Keys. We do have pink birds in Florida called roseate spoonbills, and a lot of people mistakenly call those flamingos. But the actual flamingos are not normally found in Florida. They may occasionally migrate here, but you're not likely to see them anywhere at all, but definitely not outside of the Keys. Not that it's impossible, but it's highly unlikely. So one of the tricky things of drawing something like a flamingo is getting all these proportions right. Like how long is the neck compared to the body? So I'm looking at this space here, but I'm also looking at the negative space. I'm looking at this curve right here, and I'm comparing the length of this to this length and things like that to try and help me to determine if my proportions are right. Now, I'm just kind of eyeballing it, so there's a good chance I'll mess some of them up. But if I was doing like a more long-term piece, then I would use maybe even measuring techniques and stuff to make sure that I got those right. Because the one thing you don't want to have happen is you don't want to get like way into your drawing and then figure out that, you know, you made the flamingo's butt too big or something like that. It's very, very unfortunate for you and the flamingo. All right, let's get his leg in here. Flamingos have, I believe that this is accurate, they have the longest legs to body ratio of any bird, I believe. I might not be right on that, but I'm pretty sure I am. So they usually stand on one leg, though, which is just normal for them.
Trying to get Klekowski in here.
Trying to get Klekowski in here.
He was on Facebook, and I'm trying to get him over onto YouTube.
Oh. Yeah, come on, John. You got to get onto YouTube. No, it doesn't matter. You can watch either place, really.
But Sandy has to flip back and forth.
But for Sandy's sanity, if you are watching on YouTube, because she is the one reading off the chat, then that would be helpful.
He's here.
To
we
her.
got him.
There we go. Hey, John. This bird doesn't make a peacock sound. Sorry to say, but yeah, that foot is a little too high. We'll fix that when we do the inking here. So there's our flamingo. We just got to get a little more detail here. They've got these little eyes here.
He says, "Oh yes, it does."
It does make the peacock sound.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take your word for it. All right, now we'll go ahead and we will lower the opacity. Oops, got to get to the ink. Got to get to my ink brush. Where's my ink brush? All right, now we will go in for a little close-up detail on this flamingo face. I need more of an angle there. Now, I just gave this flamingo a little bit of a smile. Not because it exists, but just because I wanted to. They actually kind of have a sour face. Little sourpuss face on there, but this is my cartoon flamingo. He's going to be a happy flamingo. Cool thing about flamingos, a lot of people do know this fact, but if you don't, this is a pretty cool fact. They get their pink coloration. That eye is too low. That is bugging me so bad. They get their pink coloration from the food that they eat. So they eat little shrimp mostly, and those little shrimp have they eat algae. This is a cool thing about digital art, isn't it? You can zoom in like this, and then that algae has beta carotene in it, and that is where they get their pink color. If they didn't have access to that beta carotene from the algae, they would not grow pink feathers. They would grow out white feathers like all the other boring birds out there. So pretty cool. So if you have like flamingos at a zoo or aquarium, you have to actually feed them something with that in there. Otherwise, you'll have white flamingos and everybody will be upset. Probably even the flamingos. I don't know if they care, but if I was a flamingo, I would care. What's kind of interesting about these is that they have this sort of moppy feathers coming over the top here. And they have like layers of feathers underneath. It's kind of a big bit that goes under here. I think I made his neck too big. I'm gonna have to fix that. This is where I can see some issues, like his head's a little off, but that's all right. For this, it's okay. All right, let's get these feet in here. I should do this one first. Now, here's some tips for drawing anything, but like a bird. You see, I just did that line, and I put a little bit of a curve on it, and that little bit of a curve can make all the difference in the world to sell that. If I just did 2 straight lines, that was not 2 straight lines, but you know what I'm saying, it would not really look right. And so you got to get those subtle little shapes. You don't have to draw every detail, but you want to capture some of those types of things, and that will sell your drawing. I don't mean like for money. I mean, you know, what it is.
John asked, are flamingos familial birds? Do they stay with their offspring?
You know what, John? I don't know. I know I'm not super knowledgeable about flamingos. I know that they are large flock animals, and they do rear their young to a certain degree, but I don't know how long the young stay with them. I am going to guess, and this is a guess, that they stay with them for a bit, but then once they are old enough to sort of fly off on their own, that they may still be in the same area, but they probably are not really connected too much. But I don't know. I might be wrong. I might be totally wrong about that. That is a complete guess. So good question, John. Somebody Google that. There we go. There's our flamingo. Just clear this time. That's a smart thing to do. And then we'll go to airbrush. We'll paint our flamingo. I always tell people, you know, because I'm an educator, I teach people about animals and stuff like that. And one of the things I also teach is I teach people that are teaching about animals. So I'm like I have to train and mentor a lot of our new educators and things like that. And I always tell people, you know, when you're the education person and somebody asks you a question and you don't know the answer to it, it is really difficult because you feel like I'm supposed to be the expert. I'm supposed to have that answer. I don't have that answer, then they're going to think that I'm not worthy or whatever. But one of the most valuable things I think that educators can do is admit when you don't know the answer. It's okay. You don't have to know all the answers. It's more important that you can admit when you don't than it is that than making up an answer and being wrong about it. Now, if you can guess like I did, but make sure people know, hey, this is a guess. There's a real good chance that I am totally wrong. And then if you're right, then you can feel vindicated. But that's hard. It's tough. I mean, I'm okay with admitting that when I don't know stuff, but I understand the draw to pretend.
Hashtag stump the cruise geek.
That's good though. I like it when people stump me too, because it means that I'm going to learn something. Because you know what's going to happen now, John. You know what's going to happen when we get off of here, and probably after La Lido Loca, is I am going to. Oh, I know why. Hang on, I had the opacity on this. Flamingo's about to get really bright. We will leave it like that. I wondered why this wasn't showing up right. Because I'm going to go research it, and then I'm going to learn something. And I like learning stuff. So that's a good thing. They have kind of these really interesting eyes.
Oh, Terry Shepherdson's over on Facebook.
Oh, cool. Hey, Terry Shepardson. If anybody's over on Facebook and you're asking questions and you're like, why are they ignoring me? It's because I'm not getting any messages through where I'm drawing, and Sandy is on YouTube. So if you go to the Creature Science...
Flip back and forth.
She's trying to flip back and forth, but it's hard. If you are able to go to Creature Science Illustrated YouTube channel and watch this there, then Sandy, you will make her life much easier. And by making Sandy's life easier, you will make my life easier.
Truth.
But we are at about 8:26, so I'm going to get off here in just a minute as soon as I finish the flamingo legs here.
John says let him know when you do your research, what you find out.
I will, John. I will definitely let you know. What's going to happen after this is I will head over to the La Lido Loca live stream. Those of you that, I think most of you are familiar with La Lido Loca cruising community, and my partner and good friend Tony from La Lido Loca, and of course my other good friend Jenny from La Lido Loca, and they do the live stream on Tuesday nights, and I'm one of the moderators, but also really, really enjoy the time chatting with everybody over there when I can talk and not have to draw at the same time. Of course, I love drawing. I love talking. You guys probably know that, but it's hard for me to do both simultaneously.
He's not a multitasker.
Not a multitasker, no. All right, there we have it. We've got our pink flamingo, our Caribbean flamingo. We've got our Atlantic bottlenose dolphin. We've got our southern stingray, and we've got our Bermuda chub. And I think that's going to wrap it up for the night. Thank you guys for watching. If you want, give this video a thumbs up if you are on YouTube, and subscribe to the channel. You know the stuff. You know how it goes. Anyway, guys, but seriously, thank you for watching. And if you did any of these drawings with me, or you do any of them, post them on Creature Science Illustrated so everybody can see. And I'll see most of you in a minute over at La Lido Loca. Either way, have a fantastic evening. Bye-bye.